to the Clydesdale Media Weight Loss Journey, where Scott does his weekly check-in with nutrition coach Cheryl Nasso every week live on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notifier so you first know when new episodes come out. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Clydesdale Media Weight Loss Story. Can I just tell you that every time I play that open, I think you're looking at me with the clips from the show as they're floating up on the screen. It looks like you're staring into my soul.
That's funny. I just like that. I like the intro. It gets me kind of like dancey, like in a good mood. So I don't know. Your guys' new intros are pretty awesome. All of them. I like them.
Yeah, I want to redo this one and make it a little more colorful.
Yeah.
The song's fine. I like the song.
Yeah.
But
what's up? We got Jake and Damien in the house. Damien, how's the wifey feeling? I gotta ask him before we get started. His wifey had surgery last week. What you drinking there, Scott?
Fairlife protein shake.
I got my mom and dad on those. Yeah. The Core Power has like 42 grams of protein, but those are pretty good. What are those? 29 grams of protein?
30.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
Yeah, like I told you before we got on air, I wasn't feeling super great today. And so my appetite's not super high. So just trying to get the protein in where I can.
Yeah. Have you tried the Jocko ones yet?
I tried them at the games because they were handing them out for free. They were okay.
One of the people that I saw was reviewing the different, people do like reviews on YouTube. She was reviewing like the taste of all the different protein shakes, and she claimed that one tasted the best. So
I've had better.
Yeah, she rated that one against Core Power, the Alui or Alahi or whatever it is one, the Pure Premier Protein, the Quest Protein ones, a few others. But yeah, those can be a great little quick trick, quick little something or other to get things going. But yeah, well, good to hear about your wife there, Damien. Hopefully she's going to be recovering as the weeks progress. So, and you got her on the peptides. I had a client ask me about peptides this week. I didn't know how to respond. He was like, seems like a lot of CrossFitters are using peptides these days. Should I get on those? I'm like, I don't know. Are they allowed in the sport? I don't think they're allowed in the sport. So I'm not.
If you're competing, they are not allowed.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So I was kind of like,
they're legal for everyday average Joe people.
Yeah, but
not that I've used any of them, but
yeah,
I've just heard so much talk about them.
Yeah,
different shows.
Yeah,
something we should look into maybe and do a show on at some point.
Yeah, I should do it. Definitely talk a little peptide talk,
or have someone on that knows about them.
Yeah. So I'm excited to check in with you today because I know that last week we kind of exposed. I guess I feel like when it comes to nutrition coaching, I think that people think it's just like, tell me what to eat, tell me what my macros should be, and like make sure I'm doing it every single week, which is part of what we do as a coach. But part of what we do as coaches is also, well, if you're a good coach, you're also looking at the things in a person's life that impacts their ability to do those things. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good, right? Like we all have ups and downs in life. And last week you had like a couple of things that really kind of just came full frontal for you all at once. And, your last couple of weeks had been a little bit rocky. And it was kind of like you hit that breaking point where it was like, this is where I'm at. And it's important to kind of just allow yourself to have that space to be like, okay, let me collect my thoughts. And sometimes what a coach does is just also help to give you some insight as to how things in life might impact your food and your choices and all that stuff. And mentally last week, you were kind of at your breaking point. And we had seen over the last couple of weeks that compliance was a little bit lacking. I don't think that you were going off the deep end in terms of nutrition, but you weren't as committed to the things you had been doing prior because you were kind of on that slippery slope down. And that's a part of the process.
I think the best way to put it is the first thing that goes for me is the logging. it's not my nutrition, it's the logging of the nutrition that is the first thing to go.
Yeah.
And then
And
if you don't catch that, then other things start sliding as well.
yeah. And because you're not somebody who eats pretty much the same thing from day to day, when you're not logging, your nutrition may not be bad food choices, but it ends up being the up and down of lower protein, higher protein, calories too low, calories too high. And that's where things kind of get into this slippery slope. So because you aren't, some people are very routine. Like if I didn't track my food today, it's pretty much the same as it was yesterday. I might have a little bit more egg whites or a little bit more cereal or whatever, but for the most part, I'm eating pretty much the same thing, or I'm exchanging. If I'm going to have a wrap, I'm going to have a wrap, or I'm going to have rice. Like I'm kind of exchanging things. And I think sometimes you guys, you're more of your dinners can sometimes be more recipes. Although since you've been taken over, that's not really been as much of an issue. So, but yeah, I just wanted to start by saying, first and foremost, like it was good to like put yourself out there. And I think that that's number one, and giving yourself the opportunity to like kind of troubleshoot and learn from that experience. So in your check-in last week, every week we do a check-in. One of my suggestions to you, and I give this to everybody that's listening, if you are somebody that you're going to hit road bumps, you're going to hit speed bumps and things, and you're going to lose compliance, I recommend everybody having an ice list. And an ice list, in case of emergencies, also known as, is literally a list of like foods and meals that no matter what, they are going to hit the spot. Um, they're easy to come together and you don't have to put too much thinking in it. So that when you're in that space of like the mental energy just isn't there, you can always rely on those things. And that was one of my suggestions to you last week, knowing that, I know that you're probably not using them this week. This week it's going to be probably pretty standard. But when life hits again, it's like, I know that I can super easily throw together, a pack of tuna and some non-fat Greek yogurt and make a tuna salad and eat it with a pita, like whatever might be your go-to ice meals to kind of get you going. So just one of the things I wanted to touch on from last week.
So since I started taking over the cooking, I cook almost everything on the weekend. And then it's all cooked in the refrigerator, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big difference between when I cook and when my wife cooks.
Mm-hmm.
One, we've stopped the HelloFresh meals. So now, like, I'm just cooking a bunch of chicken breast on Sunday, a bunch of burgers, like I told you, and I can break those up into rice or into whatever I need to. And then this week I smoked some pork, just to have some pulled pork to be able to throw in a salad, be able to do things like that. So I had those three protein options.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's just grabbing a veggie or fruit or something to kind of offset that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I got some cottage cheese and I got some things like that that are quick add-ons here and there.
Yeah. I want to just kind of comment on one thing. Judy Reed comments, why do you suppose that is that your logging goes? And I want to touch on two things with this. One, I want to give Scott the opportunity to answer. Why do you think logging goes? But two, to kind of think about this a little bit differently. So why do you think logging goes when you're in that place?
Why do I think that?
Yeah. Like, why do you not log when you're?
I think logging is so counterintuitive to my day-to-day life. I am not a list person.
Mhm.
I am not a like have a daily planner kind of thing. I am like I have it all up into my head and then I just sort things out that way. And I do that with my work life. I do that with my personal life. And so for me to log, it's the most unnatural part of this whole thing.
Right. So there's two things that I want to really, really point out with this is another part of coaching is knowing that that's not a natural thing to every single person. Logging, there's days where I haven't logged my food until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But again, like you, I keep everything up here. I can go in and log everything and I'll be fine. I know what I'm eating. I know that you're at that place. I think that what might be missing is that shit, if I don't log, Cheryl can't see what I'm doing, which is really the main purpose of logging, is that I can't adjust things if we don't know what's going in. And I don't know if I'm going to be closer to my goals or not. But when it comes to logging, I think it's really important that people don't, logging isn't something that I feel like people should feel like they have to do for the rest of their life. And missing a couple of days of logging should not, in my opinion, okay, and this is, as a coach, I don't think that if you don't log your food, that you should not still be able to make progress if you have spent a significant amount of time logging food and you're not changing it much. So if you miss 1 or 2 days, that's not the end of the world. We were at a place where you had missed more than 1 or 2 days. But I think it's really important for people not to rely on food tracking. If you're tracking your food, a lot of people burn out because the entire day they're spending so much time playing macro Tetris. If I have this, am I going to be able to have that later? And if I have that later, what do I have to have now to get enough protein? And that becomes a really unnatural way to live unless you're planning on logging for the rest of your life. I would much rather my clients be like, I'm in a pretty good range. Things are looking pretty good. And just kind of keeping that accountability. I don't think that people, I think that you should be able to successfully miss a day or two of logging and still be on track. So I just wanted to kind of point that out too.
Damien says I'm a hippie.
I'm scrolling down. You're a hippie, Scott. Yeah. I'm looking. Kenneth mentioned the real good foods. So this is awesome that you mentioned this. So just a funny story is, well, not really funny. My mother's not doing super hot right now. She's on the mend, but I've been helping her and my dad out with some nutritional changes. So I took her to the store last week and we bought the real good food chicken bites and we bought my dad the fish. He's like, you know what's so crazy? He's like, this is the first time I've had frozen fish that's like actually real fish. Like there's actually meat to the fish. I'm like, because it's not like a compressed piece of like garbage. It's not like a fish stick. It's actual fish. He's like, it's like real fish, Cheryl. I'm like, well, it was just funny because you expect that it to be real when you get it, but I don't eat processed stuff like that. So it was just really an interesting thing to note about that. Yeah.
I don't. Is that a like a nationwide brand?
Yeah.
Real Foods? Okay.
Yeah. They make, what's really cool is they make like other things too. Like they make actual meals.
So
but
I'm not in the freezer section very often of my store.
yeah.
And so that's why I ask. I'm not familiar with what's available.
Well, these can be really good to have on hand. Let me just kind of show you real quick. They can be really good to have on hand. If I can find it, here we go. Because it's also like a creative way to get more more protein without it just being boring chicken. Like 23 grams of protein per 4 ounces, and you're only getting 6 fat and 3 carbs. And they have like the chicken, and they also have like they have fish as well. Like that's what I bought my dad. But you can see they have like orange chicken, General Tao's chicken. If you like Chinese, they have different types of things. But they also make like grab and go burritos. Some of them are a little higher in fat. That's really the only problem. But they do have quite a bit of stuff here. I mean, look at this, full prepared meals as well. I didn't even know that they did that now. And it looks like you can buy them or you can get them ordered to you. But yeah, this is what I've been getting for my mom for some different protein options. So, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So nutritionally, kind of like getting you back in the saddle. I know that you had not had a chance to go to the grocery store prior to our conversation last Tuesday. And I was like, hey, so I wanted to know, what did you end up doing that night for dinner? I know I was like, well, grab a rotisserie chicken or grab some takeout, whatever you gotta do. What did you end up doing that night?
That's
last
like a week
Tuesday.
ago.
Yeah. Well, after our call, what did you end up doing?
I think I actually went to the store.
Yeah.
And then I just grabbed, I think I cooked. I think I actually cooked chicken that night. I think.
Yeah. Well, the next day, it looks like things were, let's see. You had deli chicken so you must have went to the store because you had chicken and you had beef for dinner. So,
Oh yeah. I went to BJ's and they have like pre-made chicken and steak stuff, and I just brought those home and cooked them up.
Yeah, awesome. Nutrition last week looks pretty darn good. I'm seeing plenty of veggies, a pretty good amount of balance. Looks like maybe you made like a stew on or beef stroganoff on Thursday. That
So
was a
my
little
wife actually cooked that night. She made steak tips.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That looks good. Overall, the only days that I was curious about was what was Friday night, date night?
No, we ate in.
Okay. Did you guys order in?
No,
Huh.
no, because we ate out on Sunday. We had our date day Sunday. It was so beautiful here. We went
Oh,
to the park.
Sunday was the summer social. Did you go to the summer social?
That was Friday night.
Okay, so you didn't have any food logged on Friday night. Was that why?
No, because I ate before I went.
Okay. What'd you
I
have for
don't know
dinner?
why I didn't log that night.
I gotcha.
It would have been one of the meats I cooked and probably some broccoli or asparagus.
Yep. And then you had barbecue. Looks like maybe did you smoke some pork this weekend?
I did.
Yeah. It's that time of year. Barbecues are out, grills
Yeah.
are out. And then what y'all do for your date night on Sunday?
So we went to the dog park and we just grabbed a couple of subs and went and chilled by the lake
Nice.
because our dog park is right by the lake,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of hung out. Water makes my wife feel better. Just when she's around it, it just eases her. So we just kind of hung out and enjoyed watching the boats go by.
That's funny because my dad and my mom, they both love to go by the lake and just kind of chill out. So that's awesome. They're able, you guys do that as well. So, all right. So nutrition looks really good. I don't have any weigh-ins since prior to semis. So is there
Yeah.
a little bit of scale avoidance? It's okay if there is.
I think there is because of the just the judgment stuff that came from semis,
Mm-hmm.
and I just didn't have it in me. But I'm starting to get past that. Talking about it last week was better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, just so you know, like as much as you and I can talk about the scale, nobody on the show needs to know what's going on with the scale. So like we don't, that's something that's wherever you're at, we share what you feel comfortable sharing. And that's full transparency. Everybody watching this show goes through the same thing. And I think that just like everybody else, you deserve that right to be able to say like, hey, right now, like I'm showing my coach the scale, but like, we don't need to talk about it online. Like it's okay sometimes to do that. That's also like, I mean, nobody wants to be like, oh, I don't feel great about myself right now. I don't want to be like putting it out there. That's okay. This journey isn't about the scale. This journey is about changing a person. And, part of that is also being like, hey, you know what? Like, just because you don't make scale movement doesn't mean that you're a failure. Like, that's not something that we have to measure progress on in terms of your worth. It just helps us know, all right, things are in a good place. Things are needing to be adjusted or whatnot. So just something.
My biggest concern actually since last week has been my blood sugar. Because of all the stresses that are going on in my personal life, it spiked again. And so now it's slowly coming back down. And now I'm back under 120 again. But it's just amazing how like a little bit of stress spikes that up.
Yep. Yeah. It's that, but also I'm also sensing a little bit of sinusy stuff too. And I think that last week there might have been a little something too. And
Yeah, I definitely had allergy stuff in Knoxville.
the only reason I'm saying that is because also infection can spike your blood sugar. So just be careful that a little allergy doesn't end up becoming something more. And then also why it's important to make sure that
blood sugar, Kenneth. Blood sugar. Not
knowing
pressure.
knowing that I think you likely, like after our conversation, it sounds like you were making the best choices at semifinals. So I wouldn't say that the foods you were consuming were like spiking your blood sugar. So, and you're back on track with everything. The other thing to ask about is when we talk about blood sugar, okay, so insulin levels, being more insulin sensitive, kind of what else, and I know, but what else likely hasn't been the same over the last, call it 3 or 4 weeks?
Probably sleep.
Yeah, I'm gonna think of something else.
I don't know. You got me stumped.
All right. Have your workouts been a little bit less consistent? Thinking about it, like not on purpose, but like the traveling, being in the car more, all that stuff, like coming back and the back thing, like, you know, your
Yeah,
workout.
definitely less consistent
Yeah,
during that weekend.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like the lead up to it and the week after, like that's okay. It's okay. Like, like my workouts were a little off. I wasn't as consistent in the gym. And those things are going to impact blood sugar. You're going to make yourself more insulin sensitive by walking more, moving more, the high intensity training, all that stuff. So, what have you gotten in any workouts yet this week?
Yeah.
All right, cool. What did you do so far this week? Did you work out Sunday? No, right? Because it was dog park day. That was
Yeah.
active recovery.
So it started on Saturday and I did it. This was all home. I moved 25 50-pound bags of dirt to my backyard, unloaded them all to get rid of the ditch so I can get my patio level.
Mhm.
And that's what I considered my workout on Saturday. And that was intense.
Okay.
And then I went to the garage yesterday and did a workout at lunch. And that was great. And
Okay.
then today is my day off always. And then the rest of the week, my mom's going to be here. So I'll have a car that I can run down to the gym.
Awesome. So what was your workout yesterday?
Just something, everything is usually echo bike or assault bike. I did some ring rows, some push-ups, and some air squats.
Was it like a circuit? Like what was the workout?
Yeah, I was doing intervals. So I was trying to get a minute. I was doing 10 calories. A minute, I was doing 10 air squats. A minute, I was doing 10 ring rows. A minute, I was doing 10 push-ups.
It's like an EMOM.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How long did you go for?
I went for 20 minutes.
Okay. So about 5 rounds.
Yep.
How'd that feel?
The push-ups went away pretty fast. Had to go to my knees. But other than that, it went really well.
Okay. And you're thinking about getting into the gym tomorrow?
Yeah, if my mom gets here in time, then I'll have a car.
Okay. Otherwise, why don't you ever doesn't like Polaris or IBEX, do they like post the workouts?
They do.
You just don't like doing them at home?
Sometimes I don't have the equipment to do it.
Yeah. I'm all about like trying to find a way to like just to kind of I'll just do this instead of that or whatever. But yeah. I was just because
Most of the time I do what they say.
yeah.
Mondays are always like a crapshoot with what they have.
Yeah. I'm looking back at some of the comments that I missed. I kind of want to go back to this. Who was it? Trish mentioned, should I log my Metamucil? I don't know if that was supposed to be a joke or if she's actually being serious. So I'm going to answer it.
With Trish, you never know.
Well, the answer is yes, you should be. There is carbs in it. The truth is like it probably is going to have a minimal impact on your results if you're logging your Metamucil or not. Like, I mean, technically there's, I think 6 or 7 carbs in a scoop of Metamucil. But I don't think it's that big a deal. And as Damien says, eat real fiber. I 100% agree. I don't believe in fiber supplements. They're essentially, it's a Band-Aid. It's not really doing what you need it to do. You should really be eating your fiber intake. So,
Sarah Cooper, did you make sure you hit that bell so that it notifies you every time we go live?
yeah.
You should do that.
Definitely should.
Maybe while you're there, hit the like.
Yeah.
Maybe hit the subscribe.
Yeah.
all those things. We
You know,
love all
Sarah,
that.
Sarah, I'm gonna also tell you, Sarah mentioned you can go check Mayhem Crash Channel. I'll be honest, I actually kinda discourage that. That's why I asked him, like, "Do you just have the ibex and just kinda modify?" Because I honestly think that sometimes going and finding random workouts ends up becoming more stressful. Like, if you're like me, you'll look at the 5 different things, and then you're trying to decide what you wanna do, and then before you know it, you've wasted 30 minutes trying to figure out what the hell to do.
And
Like,
honestly, most days I do ibex.
yeah.
Most of their stuff is very straightforward.
Mhm.
Mondays are just a crapshoot of what you get,
Yep.
and it's just easy because usually it has a rack in it,
Mhm.
and I don't have a rack. I don't have a couple things. I don't have a bench.
Yeah.
There are some things like I don't have that I just
Well, the good thing is for you that, like, if Monday, like, what days ideally would you like to go to the gym?
so I'd like to go Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, but ideally, with your schedule, how many days can you actually get into the gym?
Well, that if I had a car, that's when I would go.
But right now, are you able to really commit to that?
Well, I can't commit to anything unless I have a car, and so that all depends on if my wife works from home or not, and I don't know that schedule. She
So
doesn't know that schedule.
maybe what we need to do in the short term is get you following some programming that I provide for you. This way, you're at least doing something consistently every week. That might help you a little bit.
I mean, I really like 3 days of the week, I'm following ibex.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I follow ibex.
Okay.
It's just Monday that I usually don't have the equipment that they have.
Gotcha. All
So if
right.
you wanna shoot me something on Mondays, I would be
Yeah,
glad to
well,
do.
that's what I was thinking. Maybe we do like maybe Mondays can be like, I know for a while we were doing like a monthly challenge. Maybe we won't do like a monthly challenge. We'll just do like Monday might be like a mono Monday, mono structural Monday. Work on your aerobic capacity, maybe some body weight stuff, and just kind of give you like a longer move grind session because you rest on Tuesday anyways. So it's not like it's going to affect the rest of the week. You'll
Okay.
you'll be recovered from it. So I'm gonna write that
And
down.
I pay for ibex, so, like and I love their programming.
Yeah.
It's just Monday, it always seems to have a bench or something that I don't have,
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
or it needs a rack or something.
All right. So this week so far, I mean, I've got a semi good food log from last week. I think really we need a few more days before kind of doing any kind of adjusting or anything. How's your appetite so far this week with being back on track with things?
Um,
I know today it's a little off from the sinuses,
yeah,
but overall,
I would say, like, I'm not really hungry, um, but I'm not, like, lethargic about it, like, every couple hours I wanna eat something, but it's not like I'm dying to eat.
okay. All right. I mean, and right now calorically, you're in a pretty good spot, but like I said, you getting back into the gym and all that, you might start to pick up a little bit as your intensity increases this week with things. So just keep me posted on that. Like right now, calorically, like I said, you really had, a couple of days where like probably Friday night was probably routine. Sunday was your date day. I didn't have anything logged that day, but everything else, the only real low day you had was on Saturday, which I'm just gonna assume, like you mentioned, you wake up a little later that day. So, but everything else was pretty good. Fiber intake is decent. You're getting some veggies in. I feel like this week it's all about the consistency game, the boring work. Anything coming up this weekend?
Yeah, big stuff this
Mom.
weekend.
Yeah,
I'm taking my mom to the US Olympic trials,
that's awesome. Awesome.
swimming in Indianapolis, Indiana.
That's awesome. So, how far of a drive is that?
Like 2.5 hours,
Okay. And what day is that?
Saturday.
Is that going to be an overnight thing or?
Probably overnight Saturday.
Mhm,
Um, we'll probably leave early in the morning Saturday morning,
mhm.
head over. The prelims start at 11, doors open at 10, and we'll watch prelims. Those are done at 1, have to leave, come back at 6:30, can go, and then watch the finals for that night.
Okay. So, what's your plan nutritionally for this weekend?
So, I'm probably gonna be eating out, but I'll just make good choices eating out. And we'll probably leave early Sunday morning to get back.
Mhm.
So
Um,
I'll be back in my house by noon.
I think you should maybe plan to have a breakfast. I mean, are you at a hotel?
Yeah. Well, I'll get a hotel with a breakfast probably included.
Yeah, that or like just bring some protein powder, bring some oatmeal. Like if you're in a car, I would say just pack a breakfast so you don't have to stress about it. And then obviously then you're really just worried about lunch and dinner on Saturday. And I know your mom is health conscious too. Another tip, guys, is I'm all about. I saw a recent Instagram reel, and it was like there should be a refund for calories that you ingest that really aren't worth it. And I feel like when you have to eat out because it's so calorically expensive, you should like look at where you're going now ahead of time, the area, scope it out, and look for like a couple of places that you might want to try, that you and your mom would both enjoy, and kind of have a plan. This way, you can look at the menu ahead of time. You can kind of figure out if there's anything on the menu that you want to have, or if you're going to be eating at the venue. Sometimes you can go on the venue on the host location, and you can kind of take a look at what they might have available and be like, oh, I know what I'm going to get. Because otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to be at the freaking convenience stand getting a hot dog and freaking nachos. That's all they have there. That's like, you're going to be like, that was the worst idea ever. The worst waste of calories. I mean, every once in a while, a hot dog is good. I can actually tell you, haven't had a hot dog in a lot of years, but actually sounds pretty darn good right about now, though. Isn't that weird? As I mentioned, a
Yeah.
hot dog.
You know what? Like there's certain foods right now that they just turn my stomach.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm in the mood for a hot dog. Today is not that day.
No, I know, but I'm just like thinking about what's available.
Good.
All I'm picturing is like, that's what's at the convenience stands. It's like pretzels and hot dogs and nachos and cheese.
See, pretzels are my downfall.
Yeah. So
like,
maybe this weekend you plan a pretzel. That might be something that like you're like, okay, when I'm at the venue, they're probably going to have snacks. I want to get a pretzel. You log that pretzel now ahead of time, and like maybe make your breakfast more like lower carb, higher protein. It's going to keep you full longer. Get some veggies in maybe in the morning, and then enjoy your pretzel. Have like a balanced lunch and balanced dinner, and be good.
Yeah, I'd rather go to a restaurant and get a good one though than those
Yeah.
ones at the arena.
Yeah. Pretzels are actually not a bad food either. They're pretty healthy. I mean, it's just carbs. I mean, there's not a bunch of fat in them. They're not deep fried or anything like that. It's really the toppings that go on them that can sometimes get people too much.
If it's good, it doesn't need any topping.
Growing up, I remember
mustard has nothing in it.
Yeah. Growing up, I just remember we used to always have those pretzels in the freezer, the soft pretzels, and it came with that little packet of salt, and you would have to like get it wet and then like put the salt on it. That's all I remember as growing up as a kid. I used to love those. And you're like, those are trash, Cheryl. Those are trash.
They are.
So, but yeah.
I loved them when I was a kid, but
yeah. So I feel like this week I want to have a weigh-in before. I'd like to get a couple of weigh-ins, get me a couple of weigh-ins. Again, don't have to share with anybody. We just want to see where we're at average-wise. And let's give it a few weeks before we actually give any weight updates. We don't need to give weight updates right now. It's not even relevant. Like that's the result. It's not the actions. Like I want to see you taking action. So you're going to weigh yourself because you're going to get back to the routine. This weekend, I'd like to have no missed days of tracking. I would, even if you're like, I got to go back in and track that. And I think going back to the food tracking, I think the other reason why people forget is think of tracking food kind of like tracking your money. Like how frequently are people writing down everything that they spend? And so it's like, it's not a natural thing to track your food, right? So like, it is something that requires a little bit of thought. And the thing is maybe just like before the end of the day closes out, just to remind yourself to get in that app and make sure that you've tracked it for me. Sorry, I keep hitting my light switch. So, but.
We're at Cheryl's discotheque.
Yeah, funny.
$5 cover.
Yeah, seriously. No, I think overall things are in a good spot. I'm hopeful that you guys are going to have a good time this weekend. That sounds exciting.
Yeah, super excited about it. It's the first time I've been to watch a swim meet in a long time.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Sarah says I always research ahead, but just because I love food.
Yeah, you should, man. There's nothing wrong with like look it up, because it makes when you're in the moment, even if you don't know exactly what you're going to have, having a loose idea and then deciding when you get there is awesome. That's really like the best way to be successful. I think people think that they have to eliminate eating out and enjoying food when they're trying to lose weight, and you don't. You just have to understand calorie wise, like what you're eating. And that's where people go wrong. If you're eating the appetizers and the drinks and the food and the bread and the butter, and you're not taking a look at the calories that you're consuming, it adds up very, very, very quickly. In fact, in my Facebook group last week, I made literally a this versus that, like, thinks that you're being good, thinks that you're being bad. People go out for like avocado toast in the morning and they're like, this is a healthy breakfast. And they're eating over 1,000 calories just at breakfast. And it's like 2 slices of bread and they don't even realize it, So it's important to kind of to look at that. And my Fitness Pal, Sarah mentioned, does have a lot of options, but I'll be honest, I don't like super trust the entries. I always like look online. I always look at the websites, or I'll look at there's a website called Nutritionix or Calorie Friend that both have pretty good ideas of calories and macros of the foods that you're consuming. I like the Calorie Friend one because it actually shows you portion sizes, which is really cool. Like it'll like show you a plate of nachos and like about how many calories is in that serving size. And like you can see it visually, which helps people that are trying to visualize, is that about this much or that much? It makes it easier. So a little bit of tips.
Cool.
Judy mentions that some of the salads at restaurants have more calories than steak, and 100%. It's ridiculous. People think they're making a healthy choice, and then 1,000 calories later, they should have had the pizza. Like it's that bad, people, and it's hard. I mean, obviously you're getting more nutrients, but sometimes it's like, in fact, one of my clients, she went out and had like a Italian salad. It had like goat cheese and some feta, or goat cheese and chicken and balsamic and some nuts. It was just like it was a delicious looking salad, and she really wanted pizza. And when we added up the fat in the salad, it was like over 70 grams. And I'm like, probably should have just had the pizza. But yeah.
Yeah. What's the saying? No good story ever started with a salad.
I don't know. I guess that's a story, but anyways, I think you're doing awesome this week. So I think the main thing this weekend is to have a good time, make some memories with your mama, and let's be consistent this week with everything.
Okay. Sounds good. I think I'd like to explore this next week, but just put it in your ear now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to a podcast today. It was about goal setting.
Yep.
And should you set the goal so it's a realistic reach, or should you set the goal for the moon, and if you fall off in the stars?
How about we do this?
Put it.
I would love this. Let's make next week a topic discussion, and let's talk about goal setting, because right now I could go into a whole discussion on goal setting, but it would be another 40-minute topic.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is for next week.
I think that we should, because I think a lot of people, and I made a post today on social media, and if you follow me on Instagram, basically talking about like the biggest fat loss mistake people make. And it comes down to people focus so much on the goal and the result, and not enough on the actions. And as much as it's important to have a goal, I'm going to leave you out with this. It's really important to understand that expectations on results have to also line up with expectations on effort. And so when we talk about setting goals, something that I want to talk about is how to make realistic goals happen for you, and not feel like you're constantly chasing something and getting nowhere fast. So,
okay. With that, thank you everybody for being here, and we will see you all next time on the Clydesdale Media Weight Loss Story. Yeah, I talk for a living.
Bye.